I hope you have felt inspired and challenged by the teachings we offer. Our world is evolving, and it's increasingly governed by algorithms. To thrive in this digital landscape, we must adapt and compete effectively. If you're passionate about helping us reach a wider audience, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to like our videos and share your thoughts in the comments. Each of these actions will empower the algorithms that drive YouTube to showcase our content to more viewers.
We have now finished with Job's final speech. Today, we continue in chapter 32. Listen to what happens next in this story. Job chapter 32, verse 1 to 3. So these three men stopped answering Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. But Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, became very angry with Job for justifying himself rather than God. He was also angry with the three friends, because they had found no way to refute Job, and yet had condemned him. After a long debate between Job and his three friends, a young man who had been listening to the conversation finally spoke up. Elihu was a young man who had witnessed the conversation, and the Bible says that he now speaks up because Job's three friends did not refute Job when Job justified himself before God. There are a few things we must notice about this young man Elihu. Let me first suggest that Elihu was not reprimanded by God for what he said to Job. Listen to the words of God found in chapter 42. Job chapter 42, verse 7 to 9. After the Lord had said these things to Job, he said to Eliphaz the Temanite, I am angry with you and your two friends, because you have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has. So now, take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayers, and not deal with you according to your folly. You have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite did what the Lord told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. At the end of the book of Job, God reprimands Job's three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, but he says nothing about Elihu. Let us also notice that God does not reprimand Job either, but instead says that Job spoke the truth about him. What was the difference between the speeches of the three friends, of Job, and of Elihu? The three friends sinned in what they said, since God commanded them to offer sacrifices of repentance. These friends did not speak out of love for God or Job, but were displaying their knowledge and were filled with pride. Although God says that Job spoke the truth about him, we know that not everything Job was saying was true. For example, Job said the following about God that was not true. Job chapter 19, verse 10 to 12. He tears me down on every side till I am gone. He uproots my hope like a tree. His anger burns against me. He counts me among his enemies. His troops advance in force. They build a siege ramp against me and encamp around my tent. If what Job said was not true, why did God say that Job spoke the truth about him? God distinguishes between statements of faith and statements that describe our feelings and sorrow. Job did not sin when he poured out his feelings to his friends and God. Many of us have experienced such times when we felt desperate and yet chose to hold on to our faith. God can deal with our weakness and is willing to listen to our frustrations, pain, and sorrows. It seems that Elihu has not sinned in what he says to Job either. One big difference we must notice between Elihu and the three friends is that Elihu speaks out because he is concerned about what has been said about God. Elihu is not speaking to show off his knowledge or wisdom, but he is defending God's righteousness. Elihu is given 6 chapters of the book, and therefore what he says must be worth listening to. Listen to him as he starts his speech. Job chapter 32, verse 4 to 22. Now Elihu had waited before speaking to Job, because they were older than he. But when he saw that the 3 men had nothing more to say, his anger was aroused. So Elihu, son of Barachel the Buzite, said, I am young in years, and you are old. That is why I was fearful, not daring to tell you what I know. I thought, age should speak, advanced years should teach wisdom, but it is the spirit in a person, the breath of the Almighty, that gives them understanding. It is not only the old who are wise, not only the aged who understand what is right. Therefore I say, listen to me. I too will tell you what I know. I waited while you spoke. I listened to your reasoning. While you were searching for words, I gave you my full attention. But not one of you has proved Job wrong. None of you has answered his arguments. Do not say, we have found wisdom. Let God, not a man, refute him. But Job has not marshaled his words against me, and I will not answer him with your arguments. They are dismayed and have no more to say. Words have failed them. Must I wait now that they are silent, now that they stand there with no reply? I too will have my say. I too will tell what I know, for I am full of words, and the spirit within me compels me. Inside I am like a bottled-up wine, like new wineskins ready to burst. I must speak and find relief. I must open my lips and reply. I will show no partiality, nor will I flatter anyone, for if I were skilled in flattery, my Maker would soon take me away. The beginning of Elihu's speech shows a lot about his quality and character. Elihu has not spoken until now because of his reverence for those who were older than him. Elihu shows us that he is not proud. He proves that he is wise and that he is slow to speak and quick to listen. When the young man finally speaks up, he does so for the glory of God and not to display his wisdom and knowledge. Elihu's words echo the words of many prophets that would later come. Listen to him once more. Job 32, verse 17 to 22. I too will have my say. I too will tell what I know. For I am full of words, and the spirit within me compels me. Inside I am like a bottled-up wine, like new wineskins ready to burst. I must speak and find relief. I must open my lips and reply. I will show no partiality, nor will I flatter anyone. For if I were skilled in flattery, my Maker would soon take me away. This young man says that the spirit within him was pressing him to speak. These types of words are common among the prophets. Take for example the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 20 verse 7 to 9. You deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. You overpowered me and prevailed. I am ridiculed all day long. Everyone mocks me. Whenever I speak, I cry out proclaiming violence and destruction. So the word of the Lord has brought me insult and reproach all day long. But if I say, I will not mention his word or speak any more in his name, his word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. Jeremiah certainly did not enjoy the job of being a prophet. Jeremiah was ridiculed and mocked all the time, and he never seemed to have any positive prophecies to make. Day and night, the prophet spoke of the coming violence and destruction. He said that the words of God were in him like a fire that could not be held back. It seems like Elihu experienced a little of the same experience when he rebuked Job. This young man spoke courteously. He did not speak from experience, but from direct revelation from God. One thing that Elihu lacked was a knowledge of God's grace and mercy towards Job when he spoke out in Lamentations. Let us continue to read the words of Elihu in chapter 33. But now, Job, listen to my words. Pay attention to everything I say. I am about to open my mouth. My words are on the tip of my tongue. My words come from an upright heart. My lips sincerely speak what I know. The Spirit of God has made me. The breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me then, if you can. stand up and argue your case before me. I am the same as you in God's sight. I too am a piece of clay. No fear of me should alarm you, nor should my hand be heavy on you. But you have said in my hearing, I heard the very words, I am pure, I have done no wrong, I am clean and free from sin. Yet God has found fault with me. He considers me his enemy. He fastens my feet in shackles. He keeps close watch on all my paths. But I tell you, in this you are not right, for God is greater than any mortal. Why do you complain to him that he responds to no one's words? For God does speak, now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds. He may speak and their errand terrify them with warnings, to turn them from wrongdoing and keep them from pride, to preserve them from the pit, their lives from perishing by the sword. Or someone may be chastened on a bed of pain, with constant distress in their bones, so that their body finds food repulsive and their soul loathes the choicest meal. Their flesh wastes away for nothing, and their bones, once hidden, now stick out. They draw near to the pit, and their life to the messengers of death. Yet, if there is an angel at their side, a messenger, 1 out of 1,000, sent to tell them how to be upright, and he is gracious to that person and says to God, spare them from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom for them. Let their flesh be renewed like a child's. Let them be restored as in the days of their youth. Then that person can pray to God and find favor with him. They will see God's face and shout for joy. He will restore them to full well-being, and they will go to others and say, I have sinned, I have perverted what is right, but I did not get what I deserved. God has delivered me from going down to the pit, and I shall live to enjoy the light of life. God does all these things to a person, twice, even 3 times, to turn them back from the pit, that the light of life may shine on them. Pay attention, Job, and listen to me. Be silent, and I will speak. If you have anything to say, answer me. Speak up, for I want to vindicate you. But if not, then listen to me. Be silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Elihu speaks about the variety of reasons why bad things may happen to good men. The young man also reminds Job that God does speak to humans, but in his time and in his own way. Elihu speaks to Job as an equal, not as someone who is morally superior to him. Job's friends often spoke as people who were more righteous than him, but Elihu opens up by saying in verse 6, I am the same as you in God's sight. I too am a piece of clay. There is a great difference between the words of the other 3 friends and those of Elihu. Listen to the following passage, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1-4. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise adorns knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. Elihu's words were gentle but true. They were not harsh, and therefore they did not stir up Job's anger. Elihu tells Job that sometimes God will bring about suffering into the life of a person in order to teach them a lesson, but not necessarily as a punishment for sin. We know that God allowed Paul to suffer under the hand of a messenger of Satan, not necessarily because Paul had already sinned, but instead to keep him from sin, to help him remain humble. Elihu points out a very important truth to Job in verse 29. God does all these things to a person twice, even 3 times. The young man points out that everyone can expect both ups and downs in life. C.S. Lewis, in his book called The Screwtape Letters, refers to this as the law of undulation. Because humans are both physical and spiritual beings, they go through a series of ups and downs. In eternity, Humans will experience stability, but on earth, they will experience a series of undulations. We will all face times of great joy and times of great sadness. We will all fluctuate between a variety of intense sensations and feelings as we experience a variety of things. Everyone will experience times of closeness with God and times when they feel distant from Him. This fact of life is well explained by King Solomon. Listen to what he says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 to 11. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain for their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Christians cannot expect to live life without experiencing the negative consequences of the fall of man into sin. Although God provides joy and peace for His people, He does not take away the times of life which all men need to experience: death, uprooting, violence, destruction, sadness, mourning, defeat, hate, silence, and war. We must all be prepared for life's ups and downs. We must all prepare ourselves and plant the seed of faith deep into our hearts so that we will not be shaken by the hard times. Both the good times and the bad times can potentially cause spiritual weakness. During the good times, we are in danger of forgetting God and becoming arrogant. During the bad times, we risk losing our faith and hope in God. Listen to God warn the Israelites about the good times of life, when all things are going well and we are blessed. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10 to 18. When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land He has given you. Be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God, failing to observe His commands, His laws, and His decrees that I am giving you this day. Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, and when your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all you have is multiplied, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. He led you through the vast and dreadful wilderness, that thirsty and waterless land, with its venomous snakes and scorpions. He brought you water out of the rock. He gave you manna to eat in the wilderness, something your ancestors had never known, to humble and test you, so that in the end it might go well with you. You may say to yourself, "My power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me." But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms His covenant, which He swore to your ancestors as it is today. Moses said that God had led the Israelites into the desert to humble them and test them, so that all might go well with them. Job had lived a prosperous life and had kept himself from being proud. He worshipped God for all he had received and did not forget the source of his wealth. Job was now being tested by bad times to see if he would remain steadfast in his love and faith. Elihu reminds Job that there are various reasons why someone might go through hard times in life. Life is full of ups and downs, and we are to remain steady in our faith no matter what times we face. Let us finish today with a Psalm of David. Let us declare along with them that God is our fortress and rock in all circumstances in life. Psalm 62. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from Him. Truly, He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down? This leaning wall, this tottering fence? Surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They take delight in lies. With their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from Him. Truly, He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depends on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in Him at all times. You people, pour out your hearts to Him, for God is our refuge. Surely the lowborn are but a breath, the highborn are but a lie. If weighed on a balance, they are nothing. Together they are only a breath. Do not trust in extortion or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you, God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love, and you reward everyone according to what they have done. May God bless you and your family.
I hope you have felt inspired and challenged by the teachings we offer. Our world is evolving, and it's increasingly governed by algorithms. To thrive in this digital landscape, we must adapt and compete effectively. If you're passionate about helping us reach a wider audience, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to like our videos and share your thoughts in the comments. Each of these actions will empower the algorithms that drive YouTube to showcase our content to more viewers.